The 417Gamers is a group of board, tabletop, and card gamers in the 417 area code. This is the podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast, episode 64, the one with oranges and lemons. In the 4, Andrew and I talk about 4 games that we've been playing recently. We talk Role Player, FlipToons, Wonder Bowling, and Paper Apps Golf. In the 1 topic of the show, we review the worker placement 18th century London themed Oranges and Lemons, designed by Paul Denning, published by Manusa Games. And in the 7, we talk about 7 games that we think you might like if you enjoy Oranges and Lemons. Without further ado, the 417 Gamer Podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast. My name's Rick.
And I'm Andrea.
In the 4, we like to talk about 4 games that we've been playing recently. You and I have been doing the Alphabet Challenge in a couple different places. We convinced our friends to do one at their house. We do one here at our house. And we've also been doing one at a friendly local game store, Metagames Unlimited.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, we ran into the letter R, and we pulled out
Role Player.
So Role Player is a dice drafting game in the guise of you building an RPG character. You pull off the dice, and their values add up to the various values of your stats. It could be strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence. At the end of the game, you sum up your dice, and you find out who scored the most points. Mm-hmm. You also get a pre-rendered character class, like a fighter or a wizard or a ranger, and that kind of gives you the ranges you want to hit on your dice sum. So, like, your fighter, of course, wants to be super powerful.
Sure.
The wizard does not care about his strength, but he cares about his intelligence.
Yes.
And stuff like that. Still a very fun game. This came out in 2016, designed by Keith Mateka and published by Thunderworks Games. But 10 years later, I don't think it fits in our collection anymore.
Yeah, I think that the people that we played with enjoyed it, but they weren't excited enough to be like, yeah, let's do that again, which is what games we need to keep.
Yeah, they were like, that's a cool trick.
Yeah.
And I think you alluded to before the first try kind of went south on a recording, that they wanted to actually play an RPG with those characters. Mm-hmm. And they've made expansions to do that, but the time you have to invest to build the character via the game, and then pull out and learn the rules to do the expansions and track down the rules. I think there's other dice drafting games we'd rather pick up. Or
we have a
keep
lot.
And play.
We have a lot.
We do. What are we going to talk about next?
FlipToons.
So FlipToons is also by Thunderworks Games. It came out last year, designed by Jordi Adon and Renato Simone. It came out, let's say it came out last year. It is a card drafting game. You have a 6-character staff of cartoons, and you're going to try and build your stable of cartoon characters to be the most famous of anybody. On your turn, you flip out a 3x2 grid, 3 up top, 3 at the bottom, add up their fame, then you spin that fame in a market to hopefully either add better characters to your lineup or cull the lesser characters. You start out with a couple caterpillars that don't give you any fame. You get a bee that I think has 2 fame, a snail that has 1 or 2 fame, a skunk that while he doesn't have any fame, he helps you get rid of cards that aren't helping you. You have a dragonfly that gives you fame equal to each different orthogonally adjacent card, and there's another character I'm missing. Anyway, once you get your fame, you then go to the market, which ranges anywhere from 3 to 15 fame. Spin the fame, put those cards in your deck, you shuffle it up, and then you go again. You go your 3x2 grid, add it up, and the first person to 30 triggers the end of the game, But that doesn't end right there. You go the next round, shuffle everything up, and you have a final flip. So even though you may be the one that triggered the end game, you might not win. I thought it was really cool that there was so many different characters to try and play. They had like the elephant, since he stomps around and all that stuff, he flips the card before him face down, kind of scares them or whatever, and your characters only score their fame if they're face up and you can see them. And then the eagle flips the card after him face down, or flips it. I shouldn't say face down because it could be already face down. If it already face down and it gets flipped, then it flips back up. You had the snake that culls 2 cards off the top of your deck just out of the game, and if unless you peeked, you don't know what you lost, and then you get to take the 2 cards off the top of the market deck, and you get to find out later what you might have won. So the snake's got that push your luck, like, do you really wanna? And then there are other characters, like there's a camel, and he gives you 2 fame, or he gives you extra fame if nobody has more than you. You could tie, and you can get his extra powers, but...
Yeah. I thought it was cute. It was good timing for us just coming back from LA and getting to take some of the studio tours of like Warner Brothers and stuff. That helped my enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
Plus the growing up on the 80s cartoons. Some of these were the old Mickey Mouse looking cartoon art.
Yeah, almost 30s and 40s kind of Merry Melodies and early Looney Tunes design.
Exactly. So yeah, it was cute.
We like our dexterity games
a
lot. And we played a game, Seesaw Viking. When we played Seesaw Viking, I was kind of ho-hum on it, and we kind of floated it down in the Metagames flea market, and somebody was super happy to get it. So we took another swing at yet a different dexterity game from the Itten publisher. Once again at our friendly local game store. This is designed by Susumu Kawasaki. This is Wonder Bowling. In Wonder Bowling, you play with the box. That's your playing field. It looks like a bowling alley. Mm-hmm. You put 10 pins on the box, and then you have this striker. It's got a black ball at one end, a blue ball at the other, and on your turn you smack the box. And how many pins are left dictate tiles you can flip. Your tiles you have numbers on them. You're trying to have that exact amount of pins still left on the box, and if you hit those numbers, you get to flip it. Mm-hmm. Or if you hit all the pins over except for one, it's a strike. And it's pretty tough to do when you first start out. Now, if you get a strike, everybody has some strike tokens they need to flip over. But if you've already done that, or if you don't want to flip just one strike, you can flip any 2 of the number tokens. It was cute. I like that fact that it plays 2 to 6 out of the box. I think 3 to 4 is probably the best to play at.
Yeah.
But I like that little rule where you want to knock it down to just 1 pin so people aren't just swinging for the fences. So you got that strategy where you're just trying to pop the box or knock it on the side.
Yeah.
You can't hit the pins directly. You have to hit the box. And then last but not least, this is one game that you haven't played.
I haven't. I've watched you.
Yeah, I visited one of our newest friendly local game stores, Dragon's Loft. They are on South Campbell in Springfield, Missouri. They're in the same shopping center where Bears, Burgers, and Harbor Freight is. Mm-hmm. It's not Park Crest. It's down there where our Hallmark is. I apologize. I forget exactly what the shopping center name is. But if you live in Springfield, you know where that shopping center is. It's across from the Krispy Kreme and the Alamo Draft House. You go down a hallway. He is right across the hall from a violin shop. And he's got some interesting stuff. He's trying some new card games that other shops aren't playing. Like, I think it's like Cookie Chaser or something. That's a collectible card game he's been playing and has been working really well for him. I think they still play the Magic. He still had some miniature stuffs. But when I went and visited him, he had 3 different solo games. I talked the crap out of Paper App Dungeon a year or 2 ago. played the crap out of, finished one, and I think got halfway through the second one. Well, he had one called Paper Apps Golf. This is designed by Tom Brenton, and this is published by Gladden Design. In Paper App Golf, when you flip it over, it's got triangles, it's got dots, it's got little trees, it's got a black circle and a white circle. The white circle is where you start your golf ball. And then you roll the die, and 1 to 6 dictates how far you hit the ball. And you can take that, you can take it up, down, left, right, diagonal. But then there's shading on the paper to indicate if you're on a fairway or a green or a sand trap where there's water. And I picked this up right before we went to Planet Comic-Con, and I played a full course there. And then during my lunch over the month of April, I played another one. And here to start May, I finished it. I played all 3 courses because it comes with 3 courses. I kind of want to pick it up again. I really enjoyed it. Honestly, after playing through it, looking back, the first 2 courses, I connected my dots because all you have to do, you could just circle where you land the next, and it's solo. If you're gonna cheat, that's on you. I had some shots that was excellent because of the die rolls, and I had some that were terrible. But I enjoyed it, and if you played it, you might play in one color ink, and then you could give it to a friend and let them play in a different color ink, and then you could just compare who did what. But that was the 4 in the 417 Gamer podcast. Why don't we go on to the topic of the show?
Yes, the big one.
MoonCityCon badges are on sale right now. MoonCityCon 2026 takes place at the Hilton Garden Inn August 14th through the 16th. Badges are the same price they were last year. We know prices are going up for everybody. That sucks. So, we are keeping the $60 price point that we had last year. And because the Hilton Garden Inn are such great hosts, they're keeping our discounted room rate the same from last year. So if you're going to stay on site, go head over there, click the tab on our MoonCityCon.com page, go there and get your room sooner than later. And I think the room rates are good until July, so get your room soon. This year we're going to be partnering with the Boys and Girls Club. Fantastic charity. We can't wait to see what our partnership is going to lead to. While you're getting your badge, we have a scholarship badge. Every dollar you donate, we match dollar for dollar to give a badge to some of the kids at the Boys and Girls Club. Have them come out, play some games, teach them up, have a great time. MoonCityCon, all of the things you can expect. Tournaments, prizes, play-to-wins, great vendors, great people. Come on out, MoonCityCon.com to get your badges. We'll see you at the Hilton Garden Inn August 14th through the 16th. MoonCityCon, a meeple among us. The 1 in the 417 Gamer podcast is our topic of the show, and we are reviewing the worker placement 18th century London themed game Oranges and Lemons, designed by Richard Denning, published by Medusa Games. The artist is Andre Schneider. In Oranges and Lemons, the players it's a worker placement game with just 2 workers to start. The rest of your workers are in prison, I think. You have limited storage capacity on your board. Everything is covered up with tiles. You have 1 little square, so you can carry 1 lemon, or 1 pancake, or 1 brick, or 1 pan. Mm-hmm. That's all the storage you have. But you have a timing-based worker placement. There are 16 spots that you can go play at. You can go to St. Helens. That's the very first spot. That's the one I need to remember. You can go to St. Helens and get your lemons. You can go to an archery competition, get you some money. You can go buy somebody's loan and start making some income in between rounds. You can go to the market and do some trading. You can go to the stock market, buy stocks. And the stocks are based on the East India Trading Company. Heck, you can buy a boat and invest in it in the East India Trading Company. When it comes back, hopefully it comes back with some good stuff. Maybe it's a shipwreck and you just get a broken boat. You could go to, there's a kind of a market of various goods that start at pretty cheap and get really expensive. You could go to the Stepney docks and sell your stuff to some cargo ships that have on the side predetermined things for you to sell the things. You can go to basically like City Hall and not break out. You got to pay. You got to pay to get your other workers, your family members, or you can go to the government building and do votes. You can basically, the government is paying the government off to get votes, and then the special power of government is you get to do insider trading before you do the money or after you do the money to do your votes. So Oranges and Lemons is based on a poem that apparently a lot of English people know, but there's another spot that's very important to the game, and that is the bells. There's a spot where you can go buy your bells, and when you put a bell out, you put it in one of the 16 locations. That gives you a bonus through the game until potentially a bigger bell comes through and knocks you out. You have a small bell, or you have 3 small bells, a medium bell, and a big bell. Once your big bell's out, that cannot be moved. If you go over to the spots that give you resources, the markets, the lemon market, the pan market, all that stuff, most of those give you a residual 1 cube every end-around income phase. If you go to the trading market, you get an extra $1 for every cube you sell back to the market. If you go to the archery competition, extra $2. But some of the other stuff is super powerful. If you go over to that market I said that you could buy or sell, that's later in the game. That's, I think it's spot 13. It's right before the Stepney docks. If you put your bell there, that's $2 every round. And with the game that starts off with a very, very tight economy, that $2 could make or break you, and can be a very nice allow you to do some things to start your turn that otherwise you wouldn't. Then there's another one in that's 8, turn 8. Where it's kind of a throwaway spot in the beginning of the game. It's a place where you can get either a lemon or a brick or 2 points or $3. But there's a blue spot, and that blue spot lets you go first no matter what. But the bell power lets you, it gives you, there's an orange space before all of the other timing, the turn track. What the orange space does when you have your bell, the very last worker you activate, that then goes to the very front of the line. Because when I say this is a timing-based worker placement, at the start, there's a turn order. And then everybody places their workers on all 16 spaces after they've placed. Then all the spots activate, 1 through 16. And as they activate, that worker is then pulled off and put into the turn order track. So there's some times where if you've pulled enough workers out, Andrea at one point had 4 straight workers. And you look at it and you're like, wow. If you had 4 straight workers, what could you plan and devise? Which is amazing, but I'm also kind of like, if somebody wanted to AP the crap out of that, that would be a rough turn. But you take amazing turns on that, especially with having 4 guys back to back to back. And I think that's also the game that you kicked all of our butts considerably.
I like it. If you haven't heard of this game, think viticulture, where you've got your worker placement and you're training new workers, where you don't get them, even if you get them loose. Free them from jail or train them this round, you don't get to use them until the next round.
Right.
Kind of a deal. And then you get to choose basically, your turn order for the upcoming turn based on where you put your workers for this turn. However, I much, much, much prefer this at 2 players to viticulture, because in viticulture, if there's basically only 2 spots, and if someone takes the spot you need, you're just hosed. for a whole turn. There are other things you can do, but they might not be things you need or want to do. In Oranges and Lemons, there's always a good spot. Whether it's a 2-player game or a 5-player game, there is always something you can do and you haven't lost a whole turn.
Right.
And you don't have any wasted workers. So it might not be the space you want to go, but you have options. And that having 16 places that you can go just changes the whole feel of the game for me. And I, like viticulture, love Oranges and Lemons.
Yeah. And the timing thing on when the workers activate, that's where you can hose yourself. Mm-hmm. Because there are some spaces you have to have the money immediately when you place your worker to even go on that spot. Then, because of the order of operations, you could have bought something for the market, and then you go to the next spot, you still needed money maybe to buy your loan or to get yourself some more storage. Mm-hmm. But you've already spent your money.
Right.
That's your fault for planning. If you didn't plan properly, that's too bad, so sad.
And it is possible you'll have a wasted worker. If you planned on using a resource you were going to get in spot 5 to turn around and use in spot 10, but then someone came behind you and took what you needed from spot 5, and then you didn't have it for spot 10, it is possible that you have a wasted worker that you just don't get anything from that worker for that turn. So unless there is one bell space that lets you reposition a worker. So if it gets back to you and wherever he is not something you can do, you can then move that worker. If you have a bell in that one space, you can reposition a worker, even if it's back to a place where you have already been or another person has already been and cleared their worker from. Yep. It reopens up.
Because every time an action's taken, that worker is cleared from that space and put in the turn order track. Mm-hmm. So that's another strategy with that bell, and that goes on the exact space where you go get extra workers. That later in the game, you could just place your worker on a space that you have no intention of taking, but since it's so late, everybody takes all the good stuff. And now you can pop that worker off and go into one of the good spaces that's not been taken. Mm-hmm. I really... Well, let's just get into the review. When we review a game, we look at 5 criteria. We grade them to 0 to 5. You can use all the decimals you want. We look at presentation. How does it look on the shelf? How does it look on your table? Both shelf as a retail environment and our house, on our own shelf. Does it pop? Does it look like something we want to grab off the shelf? Components and rulebook. I know Barry Dog. Barry Dog, he's a little sad on the components and rulebook. That's we're looking at art. We're looking at how well does the cards feel, the cardboard, the board. How hard is it to get through the rulebook? Then gameplay. Is it intuitive? Does it kind of marry with its theme? Actually, that's theme. Theme. How does the game marry with its theme? Does it kind of bleed through? Does it, and then it factor, how much do you want to play this game? Andrea, presentation.
This board looks amazing. It doesn't, not just the art, but the poem that you were talking about that this game is based on. Every spot has a different line of the poem in calligraphy all the way around the wheel. It's beautiful. I give it a 4.5.
Yeah, Oranges and Lemons say the Bells of St. Helens is the start to the poem. You giving it a what?
4.5.
4.5. I'm giving this a 4. I think the board is very, very nice. The box art is fine. It sits on the shelf and it does not pop. There's a reason why it sat on our shelf unplayed for a year. I look at it and the art is fine.
Yeah, there's nothing flashy about the box art. It just looks like typical old London timey game, and we have a few of those.
We do, but the board does pop because 16 spaces, the art, it's very distinctive art. Mm-hmm. If I walked by it, I would ask what it was, especially with all the workers on the board.
Oh yeah,
and it would pop on my radar, and I think that's the reason why I picked it up because if I'm not mistaken, I think I just kind of watched a playthrough on heavy cardboard while I was trying to sleep, because about once every couple months I have a night where I just can't sleep. And watching some playthroughs usually gets me sleepy. And that was one of them that I think I watched through. And the board was nice. Box meh. So I'm at a 4. You're at a 4.5?
I am. Now
we're at rules, components, all that stuff. This is where I'm going to knock it. I think you will both recommend going out and getting the expansion, if for nothing else, the upgraded bell tokens.
Yeah.
This game has these. You have the little bell pieces you need to put at all the spaces whenever you put them out. The bells are teeny tiny out of the game. And I'm sure this is a smaller publisher, and they probably didn't know how well this game was going to sell. But it sold enough to where they put out not only an expansion, but they solved some of the quibbles with the people that were playing it, that the bells were so small you couldn't see them on the board. They kind of blended into the artwork. So the bells in the expansion are like 3 to 4 times the size of what came on the original punch board. Which, you know, if enough people had that issue, but they loved your game,
right?
That's, you know, I'm at but I mean, still the card quality, the tile quality is still there. The board is a 9-fold board. And your very first time unfolding, you're like, oh, it keeps on going. It's going, it's going. But after that, it's still a very good quality board.
It is.
Box is nice. They give you a ton of bags. So I'm going to go a 3.5.
Really? That's lower than I thought you were going to go. I'm a 3.75. And mine is because of the rules. However, there is a really great player aid with this game.
Yeah.
And I think I've just talked myself up to a 3.8.
Okay.
Because this player aid gives you both what each spot is action gives you and the bell action. And some of the games we've played recently have not come with player aids. Some of the
Makes a big difference.
Yeah, some of the play-in wins we had at Geekway, I would have to ask to see the rule book to look up some iconography or some descriptions of a space. But no, I really appreciated that.
Yeah, there was a pirate game we played, and we'll talk about it probably in a future episode, Loot. It was fun, little tile drafting and placement and stuff like that, but just the iconography, and when you put your piece on this icon versus that icon, if you had a little card that told you that stuff,
it would have been great.
Would have been great. That's where we get to gameplay. I love my worker placement, and some of my favorite worker placements are the timing-based worker placements. You and I both like Bus. We both like Zulkin. You have not played Pillars of the Earth, but I like that as well. It's just the plan, the extra little bit of planning that you have to go, because we play so much worker placements because it's one of my favorite mechanisms, that just placing a worker to get resources or to get points is pretty mundane in of itself. So seeing a game that has a little extra wrinkle to it, to where your brain's like, ooh, new, or at least, you know, a little bit more. You know, you have spaghetti all the time, you're like, oh, this is ziti.
Yeah.
At least that's kind of how I think of it. But yes, timing-based worker placement, where there's a turn order track. Each player, when it gets to them, they get to place their workers on it. Each of the spots have 1 to 4 spaces, but it's all player count restricted. But even those players count restricted, there's enough spaces for everybody to play.
Exactly. And that's my favorite part.
So, for me, gameplay on this, I'm at a 4.8. And I really want to push it to the 5, but I'm just I'm trepidatious because we were super hot on a couple games these last couple years, and then, like Windmill Valley, I love Windmill Valley, but it's kind of, maybe we just played the crap out of it. Then the expansion came out. We haven't got the expansion, but I also haven't really had the desire to break it back out over other stuff. If somebody brought it out to game night and either wanted to learn it or just flat out want to play it, I'd play it, period.
Yeah.
But because maybe it's maybe it's a victim of my own doing what the challenges we're doing. That Windmill Valley is not... And maybe when we hit W on our alphabet challenge, Windmill Valley will be there.
Right.
But this, I kind of almost want to ignore the challenges for a little bit and keep on playing this.
Yeah, it is our new shiny right now for sure.
So where are you on gameplay?
4.75.
4.75. And this is also, about every other year, we have a game like this on our shelf that's been there for a year to year plus, where somebody's like, oh, you need to play that. I'm like, yeah, I got it because I heard it was good. No. It's not just good. It's great. That was Red Cathedral 2 years ago. You and I, the year previous to that, got to play 1 or 2 rounds at Geekway. We threw it back in there, and I think we gave it a low rating, but we'd take it, because we'll take a free game. And we won it. And then it sat on our shelf, and our friend Ethan said, hey, what do you think about Red Cathedral? I'm like, we played one turn, but I can't say that we liked it or not. He goes, no. You need to play that now. Mm-hmm. And I think we were looking to play something different, so we put the brakes on, played that night, and I'm like, oh, that's excellent.
It was.
And then 2 years later, our friend that showed us Moon Colony Bloodbath last year, Chris, and his girlfriend, Shannon, they were there this year, and they're like, hey, we're looking to play Oranges and Lemons. Have you heard of us? I've got it on the shelf wrapped. And he goes, you should play that. I'm like, well, I've heard it's good. He goes, no, it's not just good. It's great. So when we were at OzCon, OzCon closes at, I want to say 10 o'clock at night. So you go off and you either go to the downtown after con party, or you meet at a hotel with your friends down in the breakfast area, push some tables together, and you play Oranges and Lemons. And you realize that you were a fool for keeping it on the shelf for a year.
Yeah.
But maybe it was for the best, because when he told us that he threw the expansion in there too, that I immediately bought the expansion in the middle of us playing the game he was teaching.
That's how much into it you were.
Yeah. All right, I've talked myself up to a 4.9. That brings us to theme. How much does the game evoke its theme? This is 18th century England. You're moving around the various cathedrals and markets, pushing the cubes, earning the points for a dry Euro. I think the theme is there, but I wouldn't put it at the top. Where we're comparing this to like a viticulture. A viticulture, I absolutely feel...
You're making wine.
I'm making wine. I'm going to get the grapevines. I'm planting them. I'm harvesting them. I'm squishing them. I'm getting more workers. I'm building the things so I can do all the things. Everything fleshes out and it makes sense in the theme. For Oranges and Lemons, I think the gameplay is fantastic. The theme to me, maybe they could have put just about any other theme, and if they had this mechanic, I would still play it.
Well, I think that because it's based on this old English poem, which apparently is very, very popular, because one gentleman we spoke to, his wife was from England, and he said the name of the game. He's like, and she's like, oh, and then she read off the whole poem, just like London Bridge is falling down is something they just grew up with over there. If we had grown up in that culture, I think the theme might mean a little bit more to us, but we had never heard of that poem before. So we're like, but after playing the game, I do like the way all the spots are laid out with the different lines of the poem. So, I'm going to give it a 4.25.
All right, 4.25. I'm going to give it a 3.8.
Okay.
I don't think it's near like the most thematic. Well, 3.9. I don't feel it's quite a 4.
Okay.
But yeah, I get how the poem could evoke more, and maybe it's because I don't have ties to the poem.
Right.
I like Pillars of the Earth. I would say that's more thematic than this, and it's an older game.
Sure.
That's just me.
You You say that, but you were so into the theme of the buying the incoming shipments, and then because you buy a ship that's coming in without knowing what its cargo is, and you flip up tiles, and you're like, let's roll the dice, let's see what my boat brought me this time. Oh no, it was a shipwreck. The stocks tanked by 50%. You really enjoyed that.
Fine. You talk me to a 4. That brings us to It Factor. How much do you want to play this game? It's been a while since I've said this. This is a 5. Mm-hmm. There's no other game in our collection right now that if you offered, I would ask my sick wife to sit through right now. But if my sick wife said, hey, I'd play Oranges and Lemons, I would probably say yes, even though you probably need the rest. And Con Crud is a thing.
I did come back with a Con Crud, but worth it. We had an amazing time.
We did.
And your wife would also play this game with you, even though she feels just terrible. So I'm going to give it a 5 as well.
All right. So with that in mind, we look at presentation. Andrea was a 4.5. I was a 4. Components and rulebook, I was a 3.5. She was a 3.8. Gameplay, I was a 4.9. She was a 4.75. Theme, I was a 3.8. She talked me to 4.9. She finally got me to a 4. She's at a 4.25. It Factors, we are 5s. So when you take the total grade, divide by possible points, Andrea, your final score for Oranges and Lemons is 89.2, which is an 89, and mine is an 85.6, which rounds up to an 86. Those are strong scores.
They're very strong.
Oranges and Lemons, designed by Paul Denning, published by Medusa Games. Oranges and Lemons, say the bells of St. Clemens. You owe me 5 farthings, say the bells of St. Martin's. When will you pay me, say the bells of Old Bailey. When I grow rich, say the bells of Shoreditch. When will that be, say the bells of Stepney. I do not know, says the great bell of Bow. Let's go on to the 7.
Ding dong.
You're listening to the 417Gamer podcast. There are multiple ways to catch the show. We are hosted by Libsyn, so you can catch us at hobbygamingnetwork.libsyn.com. On Spotify, search for either Hobby Gaming Network or the 417Gamer podcast. Also listen through our Facebook page at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network. And finally, we also post a YouTube version on the 417Gamer YouTube channel. The best way for you to interact with the show is either through our Facebook page at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network or on Instagram at 417_gamer_podcast. Now to the 7. The 7 in the 417Gamer podcast is the 7 games we think you might like if you enjoy Oranges and Lemons. Andrea, what's our number 7?
Flatiron.
And we reviewed this last episode. This is 2-player worker placement where you are building the Flatiron building in New York City. Mm-hmm. It's got that dry theme that Oranges and Lemons leans on. It's got a tight economy when you start. Mm-hmm. And there's always a decent space to put your worker. You may not.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I prefer about Oranges and Lemons is if someone takes the thing you needed, there is another place for you to go to at least accomplish a decent action. In Flatiron, you have enough available spots. Even though it's a 2-player game, you still always have a path to victory no matter what your opponent does if you play your cards right.
Yep. This that was designed by Isra C. Shay S. Came out in 2024. Published by Ludanova. Number 6 is Obsession. This is designed by Dan Halligan, published by Cayente Games. This came into our sphere because of Catherine in the 417Gamer group in MoonCityCon. She kickstarted this when it originally came out, told everybody, you have to play it, you have to play it, you have to play it. So this was on our radar. We won it at OzCon last year.
And then our friends Ben and Leandra have it. And Leandra is a huge Downton Abbey fan, as am I. And she's like, oh, I'll teach you that game anytime. And I was like, oh, really? Because she's not usually a big worker placement gamer. And she's like, oh, it's Downton Abbey, the board game. And I'm like, I'm in, let's go. And it really is. It has that, that theming from the early 1900s England, where if you're going to play your workers somewhere, if you're an aristocrat, you need to take, if it's a female, you need a lady's maid. If it's a male, you need an underbutler to go along with you. The theme is really on point with this game.
So where that one is 19th, 20th century, basically old-timey England.
Yes.
The Oranges and Lemons is 1700s old-timey England. So if you want an old-timey England game, that's what, hey, theme. Yeah. Number 5.
Maple Valley.
So Maple Valley is a pick up and deliver, but it's a resource gathering. And it's one of those things very much like Oranges and Lemons where there's tons of spaces to go. There's maybe some better answers to where to go get your stuff, but there's usually always a good place for you to go.
This Maple Valley's definitely more family-friendly version. It's not as dry. There's some more cutesy art, happy little animals and stuff. So I would definitely think it's the lighter version of Oranges and Lemons.
Yes. Maple Valley is published by Kids Table Board Games and designed by Roberta Taylor. It came out in 2024. Then we've got number 4, which is Pillars of the Earth. This is a 2026 game designed by Michael Rennick and Stefan Sadler, published by Cosmos Games. In Pillars of the Earth, you are it's a timing-based worker placement. Ooh. Oranges and Lemons, but you are beginning at the 13th century constructing one of the most beautiful cathedrals in England. So, old-timey England, worker placement, timing-based. Also, in Pillars of the Earth, there's these wooden blocks that, when you stack them, they make the cathedral. Oh. So, that's your timer. As you put your workers on this, it looks like... It looks like a sundial, or, whenever you see those old-timey elevators, it's got the little arm that moves. It's got little dots along an arc. You put your workers. The earlier you get to take probably better actions, towards the later you'll get a lesser action, but you'll probably potentially get to go earlier in the next round.
Right.
So it's
which
that
is
little...
Oranges and Lemons.
Yep. Number 3.
Tzolk'in.
Tzolk'in. We like us some Tzolk'in. Tzolk'in is... it's the gear game. It's the Mayan calendar. Published in... I just had it. 2012. Designed by Simone Luciani and Daniel Tassini. Daniel Tassini is the one that does a whole bunch of the tea games. He does Teotihuacan... Tekken U. I just got done playing and winning Thebai from Geekway to the West. But in Tzolk'in, you have these gears, and on your turn, you can either place workers on the gears, or you can pull your workers off. When you put the workers on there, you don't get anything. You don't get them until you pull your workers off. And each round, the gears will make a turn. And you need to pull your workers off before they go all the way around. Otherwise, you get nothing. But you also run into some timing issues to where you both need to put the guy out to get the thing you really need, but you also have a worker that you probably need to pull off because it's the exact resource you really have to have for another turn or two down the road. So which one do you do?
This is a lot tighter game, I think, than Oranges and Lemons.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
Yes, very beautiful. And I know the gears, when you first get them, are just beige, but I think it has stickers you can put on them. But we have a couple friends that have painted theirs, and they're just fantastic. Number 2.
Bus.
This is my favorite Splotter. This is designed by Jaron Domin and Joris Versigna. Published in originally 1999 but it's now been picked up by Capstone Games. It's got slightly better board. You've got nice beads for your time tokens. Bus is a timing-based worker placement. Shocker, I know. On the right hand of the board, there are various worker placement spots. You have a spot that can move the buses around. You have the spot that can put out new routes. You have a spot that can either stop or speed up time. And when you do that at the right time, it can really throw a wrench in people's works. Because at the end of each round, people go to their next spot. They either go from work to the restaurant and bar, or go to the restaurant and bar to bed, or they go from bed to work. And that's exactly why I think Bus kind of fits in that area that if you like oranges and lemons, get your timing based, spaces matter, and the space you take may, kind of flub people's plans. They can still do other stuff to maybe do it right back to you. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Bus is pretty nice. That leads us to number 1, which is...
White Castle.
So White Castle I like more than you. You like it, but I love White Castle.
I like Red Cathedral better.
I know. But White Castle is dice worker placement, as well as putting your workers in the castle, as well as a very tight economy to start.
So tight.
Now, later in the game, you might be able to get a little bit of an engine going to free up and have a little bit of some monies and some resources going around. But your first round, you're kind of scraping at just nothing to get anywhere. And that kind of feels like the first 2 rounds of Oranges and Lemons.
Yeah.
Your first round, you've got $5, unless you're the next player, and the next player, then maybe you got $6 or $7.
Right.
But that's not a lot. That is enough for you to either buy some pans in the market and ship off a boat. That is enough for you to buy East India Trading Company for your first time. That's enough for you to maybe put out your first bell. Mm-hmm. Or maybe put out your first... buy your first storage. Your hand cart.
Right.
It's not a lot of money to start with, and you need to find a way to start getting some stuff freed up to where you can get some monies. And those first 2 rounds, very tight. Those were the 7 games that we think you might like. Oh, I should probably say who did the White Castle. White Castle is designed by Isra C. Shay S., published by DeVere Games, and it came out in 2023. So, once again, those are the 7 games that we think you might like if you enjoy Oranges and Lemons. If you enjoy the podcast, come talk to us on the Facebook at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network. Follow us on the Instagrams at 417Gamer_podcast. We also have on the TikToks on just 417Gamers. And if you're listening on the Spotify or on the website, we also do it on YouTube. So go to 417Gamer on YouTube. We put up a video version. You can just click on, listen to it while you're doing your chores, just all around the house. Put it on the PlayStation, the Xbox, in the background. Give us some more views.
Yeah.
But until next time, keep gaming.
In the 417.
Goodbye.
Bye. The 417 Gamer podcast is recorded and produced by Andrea and Rick Bagwell. The intro music we use, Kind, Gentle, Beautiful Person, and the outro music, Making Up for Lost Time, was created by Origami Reptica. For links to our show notes, the music, and guest links, head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network. Until next time, keep gaming in the 417.
MoonCityCon is back with the same price. MoonCityCon 2026 Ampere's Meeple Among Us is taking place August 14th through the 16th at the Hilton Garden Inn. Since last year we have seen prices increase in many places, but this year we are able to keep the 2025 price of $60. That's right, we are working to keep our badge pricing at last year's levels for you. Attendees ages 14 plus are $60. Veterans and active duty members badges are $50. Children under 14 are welcome with an accompanying parent or guardian. When will these badges go on sale? Saturday, February 28th, badges for MoonCityCon will go on sale. Over the next few weeks, we will be unveiling the prizes, merch, and more details as we lead up to badge sales opening on February 28th. Head over to tabletop events or use our website link, mooncitycon.com. We hope you enjoyed the Gamers Bingo from last year because we want to play another game with all of you. What does that mean? Stay tuned to find out. MoonCityCon 2026 Ampere's Meeple Among Us.